Welcome back to another edition of Research Fantasy presents our NBA Fantasy Baller DFS edition for Saturday, May 20th, 2017. And I'd like to take a moment here to pause and just lament how bad this postseason has really been. So my mentality has been for probably about the last 2 or 3 years that the NFL has been putting itself in a position where it's allowing other sports, specifically the NBA, to step up and really contest it for viewership, because a lot of times you just see games that are just blown up with way too many calls that slow the game down, really just chalk everything taking place. And my defense of the NBA during this time has just been, but it's just so exciting, and like it makes you believe, being a wrestling fan and former wrestling promoter, it's like the whole mentality behind sports and sports entertainment is to make the viewer believe that this thing's going down to the wire, that every play is going to count. And to the NFL's credit, that's what this Super Bowl was. And the offseason was incredible so far. And the draft, the Philly atmosphere, everything about it was just exactly what you want sports to be. And then the NBA has a really solid season, goes down to the wire. Westbrook hits the clutch three that knocks the Nuggets out of the playoffs. Everything's going how you'd want it to. And these playoffs have just not been there. And yes, you could say, well, this series went to 7 games, this series went to 7 games. But all of the finals that we're sitting at, plus the games prior to that with the teams that are in the conference finals, you're looking at a bunch of 4-0 series. Nobody wants to see that junk. And quite frankly, right now what we're sitting with is 2 finals where the Cleveland finals is most likely done. Isaiah Thomas already talking about he's not going to play. We'll get to that in a second here. But the Golden State San Antonio series, like, let's talk about that first. So the game now switches over to San Antonio. They're the home team. They're down 0-2 to the Warriors. On the Warriors side of the ball, it's Steph Curry, it's Kevin Durant, it's maybe Draymond Green. Draymond Green is the kind of guy that you have to keep in your tournament pool just about every night, because at this point in the year, basically no other guys have triple-double upside. Yes, Curry does, LeBron does, Durant does, Kawhi maybe does, but for the most part, Draymond is the most likely, in my opinion, to hit that mark. So you got to keep him squared away. Klay Thompson, a missing man, just hasn't been a focal part of the series whatsoever. Things could change going into the finals, but Andre Iguodala looks like he's coming back. Zaza Pachulia is on the wrong side of questionable, opening up some potential value for guys like David West or JaVale McGee, or even potentially McCaw and Ian Clark if they decide to shift Draymond down to the 5 and run small ball, which they absolutely can. Now, the big question on the Spurs side is what are we going to see, if we see anything at all, out of Kawhi Leonard? And it's definitely a little bit too early to tell. I mean, yeah, Kevin Durant and Draymond Green think that Kawhi Leonard's going to play, but that's not the kind of confirmation we're looking for. We want Greg Popovich to come out and say Kawhi Leonard's going to play. The question then becomes, if Kawhi Leonard does play, what kind of Kawhi Leonard are we going to get? Are we going to get a Kawhi Leonard that is mostly just hobbling around on the court and trying to take a defender off of LaMarcus Aldridge or Pau Gasol? I think if he plays, he's still a top-tier play, but in the back of your mind, you just have to be thinking, like, are they going to just put him out there just to make it seem like he's healthy enough to give it a go? I don't think the Popovich would risk one of his best players. I don't think Greg Popovich would be opposed to even chalking this up as bad luck and not risking getting his star player hurt, knowing that they can move into the offseason, make a few moves to really bolster their team and give a better run at it. So really tough situation there behind Kawhi. You know, with Kawhi on the court, LaMarcus Aldridge bump, Danny Green bump, Patty Mills bump, Pau Gasol bump. Jonathan Simmons has been seeing some good minutes, so I definitely think there's some reason to look his way, and Manu Ginobili makes a good punt. If Kawhi doesn't play, I would be looking at maybe the lower cost guys only, from Danny Green, Jonathan Simmons, Manu Ginobili down, and maybe not even Ginobili because he kind of fits into that vet category that I just don't see them wasting his potential last legs in a blowout situation. Moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals, where not only are the Cavs up 2-0 after winning by like 44 points, because that's how conference final games should go, we get the series switching to Cleveland. Isaiah Thomas, questionable, and may miss game 3. He's basically missed games 1 and 2 anyway, so it's not like a major loss. I mean, we're talking about a guy who has been unable to shoot. I get that they're saying that he suffered an injury and whatever, but to me, sounds like a little bit of a cop out there, just because he hasn't been playing well. Again, why would you put your team in a position to lose one of its better players? A guy gets injured in the finals, doesn't mean he's coming back for the start of the season. If you don't get rolling properly, a lot of these teams are going to improve in the offseason, and it's going to be hard to keep up. So it's just so hard for me to look at these series, and my value threshold's almost dipping down to 3.5x at this point, because there's no way in this situation, if it's going to be another blowout situation, I just can't fathom playing, any of these guys that are top dollar guys, because it just screams setup to me. It screams a situation where, again, the game's over by the third quarter, and we're all very frustrated with the results thus far. I'm just trying to pull up the box score to see where everything finished up last night. Yeah, I mean, LeBron, huge stat line, 30. So they're going to let him play, so I guess I'll take that back a little bit. I would go with LeBron, then Love, then Tristan, even though he didn't have a very strong game. I'm not afraid to go back there. Kyrie after that, and then probably Kyle Korver. I still think there's potential for guys like Deron Williams and Channing Frye, but I'm not 100% sure how much I like them. And then on the Celtics side of the ball, pretty much the whole offseason, it's been their bench guys that I've really been interested in. At first, it was Terry Rozier. Now I'm looking more at Jaylen Brown. He's been coming through and putting together a pretty decent stat line. Al Horford did a little bit better, but played 27 minutes. I mean, it looks like Gerald Green only played minutes in the first half. Truthfully, what Boston looks like at this point, in complete and total honesty, is they look like a team who does not have anything together. Brad Stevens has no composure like the great coaches in the NBA, which is why he wasn't given the finalist stature by the voting committees for Coach of the Year, because this is the result of what we get. We get basically a guy who can't figure out what to do with his bench, so just throws everyone out there and lets them play. Just no organization with him. He was visibly frustrated and just being outcoached and outclassed, and that's not something you're going to say about Brad Stevens often. And I don't think the most about Tyronn Lue as a coach, but he definitely looks far more put together than Brad Stevens does at this point. It's a sad thing to see for Celtics fans. I have no faith at this point that the Celtics are going to be able to do anything. Like I said, I'm looking at Jaylen Brown, and I'm looking at Jaylen Brown. I'm going to put him with Kevin Love. I'm going to put him with LeBron James. Hopefully Kawhi Leonard's out. We could run a couple more cheap guys like Jonathan Simmons and maybe Danny Green from San Antonio. Maybe we want to take a risk with JaVale McGee. But it's just looking ugly. It's just not looking promising. I really don't know what more to say. Marcus Smart should get the start. He's going to be a high foul guy because they're putting him on LeBron James, and LeBron James is going to get fouled constantly, especially by a guy like Smart, who's a mental midget and gets frustrated. Solid player. I mean, he's more than solid. He's an excellent player, but he just makes too many incredibly stupid mistakes. Not even mistakes. He intentionally does things stupid when he gets frustrated. It's just really awful to watch. All things considered, to wrap it up, the NBA has really lost me at this point in the finals. I mean, I want to have some kind of an enjoyment, and since I don't follow teams and I can't rah-rah the Cavs bandwagon or rah-rah the Warriors bandwagon. It's just not enjoyable basketball to watch. And then we get a, triplicate of the finals. Just so excited to see that happen again. And I'm sure something will happen that causes that series to be 4-0. I know this sounds highly pessimistic, and it is what it is, but this has just become to the point now where I want to play DFS based off of skill, and I don't want to play DFS based off of the fact that I have maybe one or two guys who can do well. It's just getting to the point where it's getting a little bit frustrating. So that'll wrap it up. Thank goodness we've only got a couple more of these left. I'd rather spend the 10 minutes to 25 minutes I have creating these videos, putting the work into putting some better content out for NBA DFS and season long 2017-2018. And rest assured, we are in a position where we're going to have some fun stuff rolling out. I'm hoping we're going to have a good product launch for the NFL season and then the NBA season following that. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Research and Win. And join us again tomorrow.